Got smiling staff. Oh, we're good. All right, we are going to call this meeting to order. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Alameda City Council meeting. Tonight is July 15, 2025, and we are about to go into closed session. But before we do, I would like to ask our city clerk, Laura Weisiger, to please call the roll.
Council members Bowler.
Here.
Daysog.
Here.
Pryor.
Here.
Mayor Ezzy Ashcraft.
Here.
For present, and hopefully Councilmember Jensen will join us shortly.
Okay. And so we go on to the consent calendar, which has 2 items on it, but these are routine and approved by one motion unless removed by a council member. These are just for our negotiators for the items. 2 of the items, or a couple of the items we're going to hear. So do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar for the special, this is the special council and successor agency meeting. So, wait, is that right, Laura?
Yes,
Did I
it
do
is.
Okay,
because
yeah.
one of the items needed to be
Yes.
both bodies.
Yes,
so we made
right,
the
exactly.
majority.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Bowler. Was that you?
Yes.
Seconded by?
Second.
By Vice Mayor Pryor. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that one passes 4 votes. So then we move on to the, I guess, should we have had you tell us what the items were?
No, it's okay. It's consent
No.
calendar. We don't
It's
have
all
to do
good.
this. Yeah,
Madam
you're good.
Clerk, do we have any public comment on the closed session items?
We do not.
So we'll close public comment, and we're going to adjourn to closed session to consider the following 4 items that I will ask City Clerk Laura Weisiger to please introduce for us.
4A is conference with legal counsel, potential litigation, potential initiation of litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 549569, subsection D4. Number of cases is 1, with the city initiating legal action as plaintiff. The potential defendant is Harbor Bay Business Park Association. And 4B is conference with real property negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8. Property is 2009 Grand Street in Alameda. The city negotiators are the city manager, economic development director, base reuse manager, community development manager, and assistant city attorney. Negotiating parties are the city of Alameda and Grand Marina. Under negotiation are price and terms. 4C is conference with real property negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8. Property is 2317 Central Avenue, the Alameda Theater. The city and the successor agency negotiators are the city manager, base reuse director, economic development division manager, and assistant city attorney. The negotiating parties are the city of Alameda, SACIC, and Alameda Theater and Cineplex. Under negotiation are price and terms of the lease and loans. 4D is public employee performance evaluation pursuant to Government Code Section 54957. Position evaluated as city clerk.
All right, thank you for that. And so now the city council is going to adjourn into closed session. We have every intention to be back before you at 7 o'clock, so stay tuned. And whoever the staff are for item 3A, 4A, please come on back. Welcome, everyone, to the Alameda City Council meeting. Tonight is Tuesday, July 15, 2025. As a matter of fact, this is kind of like the last day of school for the council because we then take a break for the month of August, and we will, like they say at school, see you in September. But here we are tonight. So good to see you all in person and anyone who's watching remotely. Council has just returned from the closed session, and so I am going to ask our city clerk, Laura Weisiger, to please read out any decisions that were taken in closed session, or actions, I should say. Thank you.
All right. Regarding the first item, 4A, potential litigation, staff provided information and council provided direction by Five Eyes. Regarding 4B, which was real property negotiations for Grand Marina, staff provided information and council provided direction by Five Eyes. Regarding 4C, which was also property negotiations for the Alameda Theater, staff provided information and council provided direction by Five Eyes. And for 4D, the city council conducted the city clerk performance evaluation and voted to approve it by Five Eyes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And with that, I will adjourn the closed session. It was also the City Council closed session and the successor agency to the Community Improvement Commission. And I'm going to adjourn those meetings, and I will call to order the regular City Council meeting. And I would like to ask our Vice Mayor, Michelle Pryor, to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right, please stand if you are able. Okay, ready, begin. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Pryor. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Council members Bowler, Daysad,
Here.
Jensen, Pryor,
Here.
Mayor Ezyashka,
I'm here.
5 present.
Thank you. Next item is agenda changes, and Madam Clerk, I think you have some agenda changes to note.
I do. So we had indicated on the agenda that item 7B was withdrawn and would not be heard tonight. It'll come back in September. And also staff needs to pull on the consent calendar item 5V, as in Victor, which is related to the Community Facilities District. So that item will not be heard tonight and will also come back in September.
All right. Thank you very much for that. We have no proclamations or special orders of the day today, so we will move on to oral communications on non-agenda items. And this is when we take 15 minutes at the top of the agenda to hear from speakers in regard to matters not on the regular agenda over which the council has jurisdiction. We take 15 minutes now, and these are in-person comments only. You have to be in the chambers. And then if we still have more speakers, there's another oral communication opportunity when we finish our regular agenda. Madam Clerk, do we have speakers under oral communication non-agenda items?
We do, and we only have 2, so they'll get 3 minutes each. The first one is Brian Kennedy.
Welcome, Speaker Kennedy.
Congratulations, you guys. You're 0-3. It's a hat trick. Now, what am I talking about? I'm talking about the city's proclamations on Facebook on various topics. You're 0-2, now you're 0-3. Let's review. The first one you came out with, which was a joke, was that the 14th Amendment somehow grants automatic citizenship to illegal alien kids born to illegal alien families. That's not true. It was meant for newly freed slaves, and the author of the Citizenship Clause specifically said that it doesn't. The second one was also a doozy, where you advise criminal illegal aliens on our website what to do if the heroes of ICE show up. Isn't that nice? You're advising what to do when ICE comes in to do their job. And the third one, you're looking at it. Here's a real doozy. Those of you who just ate, I want to apologize for the photo. It's pretty nasty. We'll concentrate on the punk on the right. You know how that is? That's U.S. Senator Alex Padilla. He's known for 3 things and 3 things only. Number one, he's always squawking about the fact that he's a Latino, so he's a race hustler because he hasn't done anything. That's number one. And number 2, and this one is a doozy as well, he voted against the Laken Riley Act. Remember, Alameda's president, Donald Trump, passed a lot of executive orders. The first piece of legislation was the Laken Riley Act. You might recall her. She was killed by an illegal alien, one of Marilyn Ashcroft's buddies, that was released by 2 different sanctuary cities, New York and Athens, Georgia. She fought him for 20 minutes, and he brutally murdered her. He killed her like that because of that. And so the whole Laken Riley Act was to prevent that from ever happening again. It was put on by her mother and other angel moms. Who could be against that? Well, this guy, what does that tell you? Voted against it. She got off lucky compared to the gal we talked about last time, the 12-year-old who was gang raped for 2 hours by 2 more of Marilyn's buddies who she voted to give sanctuary to. And the third one that he's done here, he's just proposed a law where ICE agents have to mask up. You know why ICE agents mask up? Because they're too good at their job. The cartels who run the child sex trafficking and the fentanyl across the border have put out hits on the ICE agents and their families. And their families. Tom Homan, he's got to live separately from his wife because of that. And we even had an accident in Texas where 12 scumbags tried to ambush and kill ICE agents. So that just shows you what kind of a guy he is. So you're supporting the guy who got his tail thrown out by Kristi Noem, who's a very competent lady there. And the good news is, the irony is this, she would have eaten him alive. So the FBI did him a favor by throwing his sorry ass out of there. And why people and Democrats are so afraid of strong, capable, accomplished women like that is unbelievable. So why are you coming out with this guy? Don't support him. You're 0-3. Quit making the city a laughing stock.
Thank you. Our next speaker.
Margaret Fago?
Welcome, Speaker Fago. And go ahead and make the microphone yours, so bring it down to whatever level
You
you
mean
need.
down at my mouth height?
Whoever you are. Hello.
Yes. Hello, everybody.
you.
I'm the president of the Frank Bett Center for the Arts, and I'm here to invite you to our signature event. It's our 20th anniversary of our Frank Bett Center plein air paint out. And we have 40 artists coming into town from all over the country. We have someone from South Carolina, someone from Seattle, and a lot of local people as well. A few of the artists are quite well known nationally, and some of them it's their very first time to be part of our event. But the fun thing is that it goes on for a whole week. We have artists that will be painting on Grand Street on Wednesday morning, and then their work will be on display down at South Shore on Wednesday afternoon. And then on Saturday morning, the artists will be displaying the work that they did all week. So it's work that they produced in Alameda of our wonderful city. And we'd love to have you come down and see it. We also offer, if anyone wants to have their home or their boat or their favorite garden painted, they can make a request to us and we'll put it on the list for the artists to go check out. If you don't like what they painted, you don't have to buy it. If they don't like what they see, they don't have to paint it. So. Anyway, we'd love to have you come. The clerk is passing around some brochures for you. I've left some flyers out, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming. Thank you. Our next speaker?
That was our last
That
speaker.
was all. Okay, with that, we will close oral communication, non-agenda items, and we'll move on to the consent calendar. These are routine items that can be passed with one motion unless council members want to remove an item for discussion. But you can also just ask questions about an item without pulling it. If you pull an item for discussion, we'll hear it at the end of the regular agenda. And council members may speak for up to 3 minutes on the consent calendar. So first question is there a consent calendar item that anyone wants to pull? Councilmember Daysaw.
Yes, I do want to pull for discussion item 5A for purposes of clarification, the minutes.
Okay, you want to pull that, so, okay, we will,
Oh, you know what? Actually, apparently the minutes is for June 17th, so that's okay. The minutes are fine.
you have unpulled it? Okay. Are there any items, consent calendar items a council member wishes to pull? Going once, going twice. Okay, no council pulls. Then, Madam Clerk, do you have any announcements about the consent calendar?
Do, thank you. Before voting on compensation increases for certain executive staff, the Brown Act requires the city to publicly announce the recommended increase. In tonight's agenda, there are 2 items. 5J, the city attorney contract amendment authorizes a one-time equity increase of 6.41% or $20,927 in the city attorney's annual salary effective July 13th. 2025. And for 5K, the city manager contract amendment authorizes a one-time equity increase of 11.25% or $36,401 in the city manager's annual salary effective July 13th, 2025.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
Are there any council questions or discussion about any of these items? Vice Mayor Pryor.
Hi, so I had emailed earlier the city manager about this, but I wanted to just talk about the questions I had. So for items 5E and 5F, no, sorry, 5F and 5F and 5G, sorry. I only notated one.
Okay.
They seem to be almost identical,
yes.
so I had asked for clarification. And so
Who
I
would
just,
like to clarify that? City Manager.
Yep, sure.
And
Those,
do you want to tell us briefly what those items are, or?
yes, sure. There are two contracts that with the police department to provide background investigations, and both for new hiring and for concealed weapon or concealed carry weapon permits that are now, we're required to kind of process those. And so the reason they are for the same service. And sometimes we do this with consultants is to have kind of a bench of consultants so that as we're doing new hires or if we need to, let's say one is busy and they don't have as much, or they're overextended, then we have someone else that could also do it. So it gives us a little more efficiency to be able to have two contractors that can help us with background research. But we only use their services to the extent that we need it. So we don't pay for the contract unless we need their services, if that makes sense.
got it, thank you.
Thank you. And Councilmember Jensen.
I wanted to comment, I had no questions, but I want to comment on several of the items. Comment on Q, I'll begin with Q, just to advise and point out that the city has, with the approval of the consent calendar, the city will have a contractor for the Clement Avenue Tilden Way project, which will be moving forward relatively soon, and I'm very much looking forward to it. I know there's been a lot of work, even before I got on the city council, put into this, so that'll be something that will be happening in the next year, beginning probably sooner. The other two items that I wanted to comment on are items, first, item J, 5J, which is the recommendation to approve the Third Amendment to the employment agreement for the city attorney. Just want to say thank you to our city attorney. We have a tremendous, hardworking, and very resourceful city attorney doing a lot of work to protect Alameda citizens and actually prosecute citizens that have committed crimes, as well as to support our rent program and people in Alameda tenants who deserve protection, and uphold all of our ordinances and laws. So thank you. I look forward to working with you for a long time to come. And 5K as well, the recommendation to approve the First Amendment to the employment agreement for the city manager. Jennifer Ott is a tremendous resource, again, for the city of Alameda. We're so fortunate to have her, all the work that she did prior to coming back as the city manager to develop Alameda Point, and now all of that is coming to fruition. We have so many projects going on. I mentioned earlier the project on Tilden Way and Clement. That's something that I know Jennifer has put a lot of work into, as well as her staff, and I'm really very, very happy to know that we're considering her and supporting her, and I hope that you'll stick around for a long time as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Jensen. All right, any other comments on this one? Okay, so what I'm looking for now is a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
I second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Jensen, seconded by Vice Mayor Pryor to approve the consent calendar. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
That was unanimous, right? Okay, we have approved the consent calendar. So then we move on to pages of consent calendar. We move on to our regular agenda. Madam Clerk, would you please introduce item 7A?
Adoption resolution authorizing the city
Aren't you
manager.
afraid of missing out by leaving now? All right, whatever. Sorry, back to you, Madam Clerk.
Adoption of resolution authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute a transient occupancy tax sharing agreement with the Oakland Roots and Soul in the amount not to exceed $150,000 in support of a World Cup team in their Alameda facility during the World Cup tournament summer 2026.
Thank you and welcome, and go ahead and introduce yourself.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Dwayne Dahlman, the Economic Development Division Manager. So tonight we're here to talk about a possible TOT tax sharing agreement with the Oakland Roots and Soul.
And what does TOT stand for?
Transit occupancy tax. So for those of you who are not soccer fans, in
What?
2020, summer of 2026, the Men's FIFA World Cup soccer tournament is coming to be hosted by Canada, Mexico, and the United States. For this tournament, it's going to be expanded from 32 teams to 48 teams. There'll be 16 host cities, including 2 games locations here in California. One is in Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, and then the second is at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. So it's estimated that 6 billion people are going to be watching, participating in this tournament. So just as background, so the Oakland Roots and Soul, our local soccer team, they were approached by FIFA to have their Alameda training facility be designated as a base camp training site for one of those World Cup teams for the approximate 1 month of the tournament. So the advantages of the Alameda training site are that its proximity to the Oakland Airport, it's close to the Santa Clara facility where they're going to be holding games. And then overall, the Bay Area is already a natural tourist destination with a great climate. So it's already a place where people want to come. And the World Cup is just another excuse for them to be here. I've talked about the Alameda advantages, but also for the Roots and Soul, the advantage for them is that it's exposure for the team and it's prestige of having themselves be associated with this World Cup event. So for those of you who are not familiar with it, the Roots facility is located at 1150 Harbor Bay Parkway in Alameda. For many years, it was the home of the Oakland Raiders training facility. So recently, the Oakland Roots and Soul committed to a 15-year lease for the facility. So they're here for the long haul. The facility is now known as the UCSF Health Oakland Roots and Soul Performance Center. A couple pictures there. It includes 18,000 square feet of indoor training space. That's the top picture. And then over 5 acres of outdoor sports fields. So what is the benefit overall of having your location be a team-based camp? The main benefit is the community. To the community is the fan interest in following the team and the World Cup in general. FIFA estimates for a team-based camp would draw in anywhere from 60 to 80,000 tourists in the area over that month-long period, and lead to 30,000 hotel nights in the vicinity. So those hotels will be filled up with team family members, media, and then the general public that's coming to this area to participate and watch the event. So those fans would be staying in our hotels, shopping in our stores, eating in our restaurants, which leads to higher TOT, transit occupancy, tax for hotels, as well as sales tax. So the financial request from the Roots, they're seeking partnerships from the surrounding jurisdictions to cover, for them, it's going to be approximately $700,000 in additional operating costs to house the team during the month-long part of the tournament, as well as additional facility upgrades that they would need to put in as a training facility for a World Cup team. So they're looking to partner with Alameda, Oakley, Berkeley, and surrounding communities. They're already in conversations, besides us, with Oakland and the County of Alameda, as well as the state. So the financial pledge, the pledge that we'd be looking at would be no more than $150,000, and that would come from the anticipated incremental increase in the TOT hotel tax from this increased occupancy from hotels and short-term rentals during the event. So what we've done is we've looked at the projected increase. It's really based on the historical baseline averages. So if you look at the hotels and short-term rentals during the months of June and July for 2022, 23, and 24, that gives us those historical numbers. So we looked at the TOT revenue, we looked at occupancy rate, average room rate, and then the revenue per room, and that's what we studied. What that led to is then the historical baseline occupancy during the month of June for those 3 years showed us that was 77% for hotels and then 58% for short-term rentals during that time period over those 3 years. So the TOT sharing agreement that we're looking at will use the TOT tax that we're collecting this June, plus a 3% baseline, thinking that there's going to be an increase in hotel rates during that year between 25 and 26. And the thought is that the TOT really is a combination of the occupancy rate for the hotel plus the room rate. So we feel like that's an accurate baseline that we could start off from. One thing that I do want to point out is that there is a new hotel that's being constructed over in Harbor Bay. That won't be done in time to register for the June 25 TOT numbers, but we'll be factoring that hotel into our final analysis. And then lastly, we did look at sales tax, but because we thought that was much harder to kind of estimate, we didn't really include that in our overall financial numbers, but we do know that there will be a sales tax benefit from people doing their shopping in restaurants and that sort of thing. So overall, the TOT sharing agreement, if the council is to approve this, it would be negotiated immediately after this, and then it would be finalized by looking at those June 2025 numbers that our finance department will receive and analyze by this August. The reason why we're coming here at this point, kind of the urgency of doing this before all that happens, is that the Roots need to submit their application to the World Cup. So that application has to happen now, and so that's why we're doing this ahead of time. So our recommendation from staff is to adopt this resolution authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute a TOT sharing agreement with the Oakland Roots and Soul in an amount not to exceed $150,000 in support of their sponsorship of a World Cup team at their Alameda facility during the 2026 World Cup tournament. So that concludes my presentation. I'm here to answer questions. We also have a representative from the Oakland Roots and Soul here as well.
I was going to say, thank you so much, Mr. Dahlman. Great report. We do have in attendance Lindsay Behrens, who is the president of Oakland Roots and Soul. And council, what I would like is to entertain a motion to give Ms. Behrens 5 minutes to present to us. By the way, she's a great speaker. I heard her last week at the Alameda County Mayor's Conference, but we need to do a motion. We need at least 4 votes to have a motion.
So moved.
It's been moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Vice Mayor Pryor, seconded by Councilmember Jensen. All those in favor signify by stating aye. Aye. All right, that passes. Come on up, Lindsay Behrens, welcome. Oh, look, you wore a shirt with
Of course, have to represent. Thank you, Mayor, members of the council and staff. It's great to be here with you tonight. Mr. Dahlman did such an amazing job. I'm not sure I'll need 5 minutes, but I want to start by saying thank you. We recently were able to acquire our training facility in partnership with a local real estate company called Redco and achieve a 15-year lease for our home in Alameda to be our long-term home. And we are so excited to be here as a long-term member of the community. The training facility is a real gem, and it's wonderful to be able to preserve it as a sporting location in the community. And we look forward to hosting many more community events and activities for local soccer players, young and old alike. So thank you for all of the help and support that you all lent to that process, because it was a challenging acquisition, but we're very, very happy for it to be closed. It also provides us with the exciting opportunity to be a home base for the World Cup in 2026. This is an event that is held every 4 years. It is arguably the single largest event in the world. In 2026, it will be held in Mexico, Canada, and the United States, and there will be games right here in the Bay Area down in Santa Clara at Levi Stadium. So we know there are going to be hundreds of thousands of visitors to the Bay Area and over $1 billion in economic activity. And we want to make sure that Alameda and Oakland and the East Bay are not left out of that opportunity. And the best way to do that is for us to make our home base, our training facility, a home base for a visiting national team. And when that happens, the team, the journalists, the staff, and the fans all descend on that community. And in 1994, Los Gatos hosted Brazil, and the entire community was a little Rio de Janeiro for a month. People speak about it so fondly. And I was at an event recently where soccer legend Ali Wagner spoke about that particular home base where she's from, and it inspired her to become the U.S. national team Olympian World Cup player that she was, and now she's, you know, a broadcaster and one of the most legendary figures in all of women's sports. So these events have the potential to be really transformative. And Mr. Dalman did an amazing job of itemizing all of the visitors we can expect, the dollars we can expect to be spent in our community. Every hotel will be full, every restaurant will be full, people will be shopping here and going to all of our cultural institutions. So we are very, very excited about the prospect of doing this. But as is the case, FIFA does not always cover all of its own costs. And so we will be receiving a stipend, but it does not cover all of the capital expenses that we will have to put into the facility to bring it up to FIFA standards. And it doesn't cover the day-to-day operating costs that we'll have to incur as the host. So we do have a gap at a minimum of $700,000, but depending on the level of capital expenses we're expected to incur, it could go up to several $million. And the best way we can think of, the most equitable way we can think of to cover this cost is to seek public resources. And that is why we are here asking you tonight. We have a similar proposal with Oakland. We are talking to the county. We are talking to our other neighboring communities and also to the state, because this is an event where the benefits will be spread amongst everyone. And so we're very excited to be the center of the activity, but we really want this for our whole community. And like I said, to make sure that the East Bay does not miss out on the opportunity that is the World Cup. It is a truly special once-in-a-lifetime event to be able to witness, and we're very excited that it's coming to the Bay, and we hope we can play a critical role in it along with all of you. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. And Council, do we have any clarifying questions from either of our presenters? Councilmember Jensen.
Thank you for the presentation. I didn't see in the presentation, I just wanted to know if approved by FIFA, how many days will the visiting national team be staying at the base site?
Yep, depends on team performance, minimum of 22 up to 28.
22 to 28. Thank you. That's my only question.
We want a strong team. Other clarifying questions? Okay, do we have public comment on this item, Madam Clerk?
We do.
All right, let's have public comment.
Okay, Christopher Sewell.
Welcome, Speaker Seiwald.
Hello, my name is Christopher Seiwald. Good evening, Mayor, Council, and other friendly faces. Disclaimer, I am a Roots investor, but I am not here because I'm an investor. I am an investor for the same reason I am here, because I believe in their cause. I want to back up and say good things happen when Alameda shares its island with others. The Alameda Soccer Club built the Hornet Soccer Field and the Alameda Point Soccer Fields, and because of that, we have visitors from all over the Bay Area coming to use our fields. There's economic impact. I'm talking about the goodwill. People love Alameda for this reason. I've had so many people talk about the Hornet Field, what a privilege it was to be able to play there. When the America's Cup came to Alameda in 2015, we opened our doors to bring in 2 visiting teams, Luna Rosa and Artemis. And the shock and awe of these people being in our community was just tremendous. I think that when having been in Rio de Janeiro when Messi went through the hallway of the hotel that we were staying in, and all the gaga that was going on with that, it is a truly fantastic experience to be able to have people like that in our midst. So I wholly support this particular proposal.
Thank you. Our next speaker.
We have remote speakers. So the first one is Kathy Weber.
Welcome, Speaker Weber.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Kathy Weber, Executive Director of Downtown Alameda, and I am here on behalf of our business district to express our enthusiastic support for the TOT agreement between the City of Alameda and the Oakland Roots and Soul Sports Club. This agreement represents more than a financial agreement. It's a strategic investment in Alameda's future. And as we look ahead to the 2026 FIFA Men's World Cup, the possibility of holding a team-based camp right here in our city is an extraordinary one. This designation would place Alameda on a global stage, drawing visitors, media attention, and fans from around the world. Downtown Alameda is ready to help make that vision a reality. Our business community is eager to participate, whether through special events, collaborations, or simply welcoming visitors to our shops, restaurants, and our beautiful island. We see this not just as a tourism boost, but as a catalyst for long-term community pride and economic vitality. We commend the city for a forward-thinking approach and recognizing how partnerships like this one can create real, lasting value. Downtown Alameda looks forward to working alongside the Oakland Roots and Soul, the city, and other partners to ensure that our local businesses are part of the World Cup story. We urge you to approve the TOT agreement and help position Alameda as a proud, visible participant in this rare and exciting moment. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker.
Madeline Sadek.
Welcome, Speaker Sadek.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and city staff. I'm Madeline Sadek, President and CEO of the Alameda Chamber and Economic Alliance. I'm here to speak and strongly support of the TOT sharing agreement with the Oakland Roots and Soul. This opportunity could take Alameda to the next level of being a World Cup host community. The projected impact is massive for visitors discovering what Alameda does and what it has to offer. So the Oakland Roots have also been an incredible community partner. They've really brought a lot of energy, engagement, and real support to our businesses and nonprofits. This partnership will boost tourism, it will enhance our visibility, and will show the world that Alameda is open for global opportunity. It aligns with our mission to ignite growth, spark innovation, and support things local, everything local in our economy. So on behalf of our chamber and partners, we really respectfully request you to say yes to this TOT sharing, and let's make sure that Alameda is globally forming the stage for everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next speaker.
Ron Mooney.
Welcome, Speaker Mooney.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, I call in to fully support this proposal, and I read the staff report by Economic Development. I think it's great. I think you all probably know this, but not only are we a resident of downtown, business owners of downtown, I also currently am president of the Downtown Alameda Business Association. Kathy's letter and what she just said is great, but also chime in with what Chris said, just the excitement. And I can just imagine from Bay Farm Island to the downtown to Webster and all the way to Alameda Point, the excitement that this could bring with the visiting national team could just be so much fun. And I look forward to it. And I can't express enough how much World Cup is really huge. If we happen to be a soccer family and we followed it since our now 32-year-old son was a teenager and said, hey, this is a great game, let's start doing it. So we've gone to events. Spice of Commerce has lots of viewings of it, but when we went to Washington, D.C. on a trip, everywhere they're supporting, seeing it. So whether people are watching it or just experience it, and to be a part of it with the Bay Area would be great. And thinking regionally, I just fully support this. So I hope you pass it tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker.
That was our last speaker.
Okay, and no more in person on this item?
Not on this item. No.
Well, with that, we will close public comment on this totally feel-good, positive item. And why don't we start to my right? Councilmember Desag, thoughts, comments?
Oh, yeah, this sounds like a wise use of TOT dollars, especially given its, getting the word out about Alameda regionally. So, yeah, it sounds really exciting. Look forward to when the games begin.
Thank you, Councilmember Desa. Councilmember Bowler.
Thank you. I just want to echo kind of the sentiments from the business community. I feel like there's some good opportunity here, and also, just the enthusiasm that comes around being part of such a major event in the Bay Area. And perhaps there's opportunities there's parking lot spaces and things adjacent, and if FIFA and the city and the land holders are willing, maybe there's some other pop-up businesses that could be surrounding the space camp and be part of, even increasing the business opportunities.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Pryor.
Yes, I completely agree. This sounds very exciting. And it's a wonderful opportunity for our local businesses. And Alameda's such a welcoming city. I'm just really looking forward to all of our visitors. They get to see our amazing views and our walkways. And it just seems very fun. I'm very excited.
All right, Councilmember Jensen.
I wanted to also agree, this is a great opportunity, and I do remember when the Sailing World Cup was in Alameda, and a number of people at that time remained. I gained new neighbors because they had come here from Europe to participate in the World Cup sailing, and they loved Alameda so much that they moved here with their families. So hopefully we can get some soccer players to move to Alameda as well. But I also want to appreciate staff, development staff, and the Roots and Soul, because first of all, I'm just so excited. Even if we weren't listening to this tonight, I'm so excited to know that the lease terms have been done and that you have the lease for the next 15 years. We have this resource in Alameda, and it's going to be tremendous. We're kind of a soccer town, as Mr. Sewald mentioned, and we can use this to show people how lovely this town is and how much we value sports of all kinds, but especially soccer or football. So I look forward to working with to approving this when it comes back. If it comes back, is this the final one?
Mayor? Yeah.
Please, City
This
Manager.
is final, given the time frame and that we were pretty tight, you're providing direction for me to negotiate it based on the terms that were presented in the staff report. So it will not come back.
Definitely supportive. Thank you for everything.
Thank you, and I'll go last. And it's great to see you back, Lindsay. I think the Roots reached out to all the council members to brief them on this item before it came to council tonight. And so last Wednesday, I was on a Zoom with Lindsay Behrens and Steve Aldrich, and I mentioned, this very evening, the city manager and I are going to be going to the Alameda County Mayor's Conference meeting. The 14 cities of Alameda County take turns hosting the Mayor's Conference meeting. Alameda hosted a couple months ago on the ferry, actually. But it was happening right next door in San Leandro, once we found that location in the shopping, but it was, right next door in San Leandro. And I said, if anyone from your organization could come and speak, you will have most of the 14 mayors of Alameda County and their city managers or other key staff. And so Lindsay scrambled and she came and she spoke under oral communications. And, we have a new mayor next door in Oakland. Barbara Lee was there. I saw you deep in conversation, but there was definitely interest and excitement from the mayors. And I think that's just the attitude and the reaction you're going to continue to get. And Stephen Aldrich said something that I was touched by. He thanked me for just being this constant supporter of the Roots, and we just appreciate you've been backing us all the way. And I said, the road runs both ways. As we in the Bay Area have watched professional sports team after professional sports team leave, cross the bay, go to the desert, or, up to 100-degree heat in Sacramento to play ball. And it's just, they kept leaving, but the Roots and the Soul, they came in. And my husband and I got to go to a game earlier this summer, and we took the 51 bus from Alameda to the Fruitvale BART to the Coliseum and walked over the walkway. But I just, before you even get into the stadium, I love the excitement and the energy of the crowd, and just looking around at what a diverse, we're not afraid to say diverse community we are in the Bay Area, how soccer is such an integral part of the homes that a lot of our immigrants come from, and it's just gotten to be more and more popular. I'm married to a man who grew up in Berlin, and so it was like we had field level seats, and it was like peeling him off the off the fence. But just watching the fans march into the stadium. They were playing Sacramento. Okay, Sacramento did win that day, but not the whole series. But just watching the fans in the stands, it is just, I mean, that's what soccer can do. And so this is, much elevated on the world stage. So we're delighted you're here. We're delighted you're in Alameda. And I was thinking about the TOT, and the reason we have to vote on it now is that we're looking at taking from this June's TOT, because a year from now, because just by the way that it's calculated and all, would be, is it 2025? No?
Yeah, we would establish the baseline for
Baseline in
2025,
June,
but
right.
the money would get paid
in
next-
2026,
Yep.
right. But also for the short-term rentals, there is legislation pending now in Sacramento. The city has endorsed it, and the League of California Cities is one of the authors, to require these short-term rental platforms, Airbnb, VRBO, to report to cities the specific addresses that are renting on their platforms, and to report the specific amount of TOT that they have collected. Because right now the way it works is that these platforms just give us a bag of money, well, not a literal bag, but they give us an amount and say, be happy with this, cities, here's what we collected from you. Maybe it's 100% accurate, maybe it's not, but the League of California Cities and others felt that for the benefit of cities, that we needed a better means of accounting. So hopefully, I don't know, it keeps moving through the legislature, so hopefully it'll get to the governor's desk and will be signed, but that'll be in place by next year. So I just see this as a win-win, and I am ready to entertain a motion. Who wants to jump first and make the motion to support the staff recommendation?
I'll move approval.
All right, have had a motion by Councilmember Jensen, seconded by Vice Mayor Pryor, and this is to adopt this resolution authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute a transient occupancy tax sharing agreement with the Oakland Roots and Soul in an amount not to exceed $150,000 in support of a World Cup team in the Alameda facility during World Cup tournament in summer of 2026. And I will add that we're going to be one of many cities contributing to this venture, and so we'll get you there. Anyway, all those in favor signify by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed? Of course not. The measure passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone, and go soccer. All right, so that, because our item 7B was withdrawn and will be heard when we come back after September, we are done with our regular agenda, and we move on to City Manager Communications. City Manager Jen Ott.
Yes, great. Thank you, Mayor. We've got some events that are coming up. The Downtown Alameda recently launched The Avenue, which is a new weekly space at Park Street and Alameda Avenue, open every Thursday night with games, music, dining options, and fun for all. And then next weekend, Downtown Alameda is hosting the Art and Wine Fair on Saturday, July 26th and Sunday, July 27th. So check their website for more information, including what's new this year. And then some programs that are coming up. The Alameda Free Library is asking the community for feedback that will help guide future library services, programs, and spaces. So take a quick survey that we have on alamedafree.org /survey. And then it's also Plastic Free July, and all Alamedans are invited to go plastic free with us. So check the city's social media for more information. And then a couple quick updates. Quick reminder that the Posey Tube is closed tonight and tomorrow night from 10 p.m. to 4:30 a.m. And then construction on the West Midway project at Alameda Point will be completed this fall. So we recently demolished the former commissary building and are making progress on the backbone infrastructure, including underground utility work. And we'll start working on surface improvements soon, including roadway paving, curbs, gutters, and lighting. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Madam Clerk, we come back to oral communication, non-agenda items. Do we have more speakers?
We do. Maria Henderson.
Welcome. She probably just got off the bus. Welcome, Speaker Henderson. Nice to see you.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, back-to-back council meetings tonight.
Oh.
Yes. But yes, good evening, council members. Maria Henderson, Legislative Affairs and Community Relations at AC Transit, the third largest public transit agency in the San Francisco Bay Area. So after nearly 2 years of reviewing and updating our bus service network, we are pleased to announce that the new AC Transit Realigned Bus Service Network will go into effect on Sunday, August 10th, 2025. This plan is in response to changes in how people travel since the pandemic and while working with a constrained budget. Each decision point was weighted against a set of guiding principles. Those are reliability, equity, and frequency, and the requirement that we have enough workforce to operate our bus service while not jeopardizing the reliability of our service. We now have information for our riders in the community on our website, on our buses, on social media, and at our bus stops. We encourage you to go to our website to learn if your bus line has changed. That is www.actransit.org/realign. We encourage the council and the community to stay connected with us at actransit.org and to subscribe to our e-news on our website as well. Please help us get the word out about these changes that will be going into effect on August 10th. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming. Good to see you. Do we have other communication and speakers? Okay, then we move on to item 10, which is a council referral, and we have a council referral brought by Councilmember Tracy Jensen.
Consider directing staff to draft an ordinance prohibiting the sale and distribution of Mylar balloons in the city.
And Councilmember Jensen, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I brought this forward after a recent power interruption, and I did get some more information from the AMP director, Mr. Haynes, about the impact of Mylar balloons in our community on, especially with regard to impacting power lines. I have information, some data about that, thanks to Mr. Haynes. According to AMP, there were 54 documented service interruptions due to Mylar balloons over the past 5 years. That's more than 10 per year, and this has impacted 17,000 or more than 17,000 Alameda residents with interrupting the power, which can be dangerous. Not only is it an impact to our power distribution and our power lines, which does cost money to send out crews to address the issues, but it also impacts our environment. These balloons, actually on the balloons themselves, there are notices that these balloons are dangerous, that these balloons should not be anywhere near power lines or anywhere near gas distribution lines for some reason. So they are dangerous, they're dangerous to power lines, to people, and they stay in the environment pretty much forever. So they're dangerous to wildlife and fish as well. I'm introducing this. I think that we don't have a large number of retailers, as far as I can tell, and in my investigation, that distribute Mylar balloons, but Alameda can take a position now. Alameda can take a stand, and I think it's important that we do so. So I'm asking my colleagues to support this referral to prohibit the sale of Mylar balloons in Alameda. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to jump in and start the discussion. I really appreciate you bringing this council referral. It's an important topic. I wrote about it in one of my last I do a mayor's column once a month in the local newspaper and online publication. And we do need education. And so that was going to be my point. It is my point that I agree that Mylar balloons are a problem, but what I would like to see us do is to start with more public education before we go to considering passing an ordinance that then, in order to be more than just words on a page, would need enforcement, and by perhaps the police or the East Bay Regional Parks Police going into parks. It's not something I would, entertain lightly, especially without community education. I've talked a little bit to staff, and I know that there's a thought that in our ARPD publications, we can include a big notice on AMP's website. Maybe it's up now, but it hadn't been before, information about not using Mylar balloons. Also, to do outreach to Alameda Unified School District to actually go into the party stores. There's one at South Shore, there's a few others, and even to work with school environmental groups. I know we have them even at the middle school level. That's where I would like to start. So it's a great idea, but I think instead of going straight to this is what we're going to do, how we're going to enforce it, it's like let's get the message out there. Let's see how that percolates, and also it's just community education is a great thing, and I think there's so many ways we can do that. So Vice Mayor.
I understood this as the sale of Mylar balloons,
Yeah.
not necessarily the use. So, so I think I'm assuming, I don't know what the enforcement looks like, so I was going to ask about the enforcement.
That was my intention. Like what the city did with plastic straws, I intended it to be to address the environmental issues as well as, even more so than plastic straws. These Mylar balloons affect our community because they interrupt power. And certainly outreach, I agree with the mayor. Definitely there should be a lot of outreach and prohibition. I would assume that ARPD would hopefully, if there were an ordinance not allowing sale, that ARPD wouldn't allow them to be used in park rentals, but I have to disagree with the mayor. I think that starting and not allowing these to be sold, as the council prohibited the sale of plastic straws, would be a good idea, and I don't think that it's going to be too burdensome for, with regard to either having a lot of outreach, which might even be more burdensome than just establishing an ordinance to say that this is not allowed in Alameda.
So Councilmember Jensen, explain, if you will, prohibiting the sale and distribution. You're not saying that stores distribute the balloons, are you?
Well, a retailer wouldn't be distributing the balloons if they weren't available for sale.
Well, they're selling them. Maybe I'll ask the city attorney, can you just weigh in with your thoughts on the ask?
Well, so yeah, I
And
mean,
what's
my
possible.
my understanding is that the council member is asking to prohibit sale at various locations. It's I defer to the council member on whether or not the council member is also asking for enforcement.
No.
On use.
No.
Okay.
As with plastic straws and other environmental support, we don't necessarily enforce the distribution. We try and share information, and if it is determined that a business or a restaurant is distributing plastic straws, I think we'll have someone from Economic Development or Public Works go and have a chat with them. But similarly, with regard to Mylar balloons, I proposed this in order to not allow for stores to sell Mylar balloons in Alameda so that we can reduce the problem of having Mylar balloons interrupt our power.
And City Manager, you were going to say something, I think.
So a couple things. One is we can, well, anyway, we'll take direction for whatever the council wants to do. There's a couple things that we could do easily, and then other things we'd have to come back and do. But the thing we could do easily is we could do a campaign. We've already added to our website. Alameda Municipal Power has put something up about Mylar balloons. We were putting a flyer together, and we could do a community education campaign. I think they're prepared to do that and take the lead on that. I think we could also, the council could direct us now to put rules in our parks, rules and programs that just prohibiting the use of them in our parks, and we would enforce that similar to how we enforce people smoking in parks. Like we have attendance at obviously if someone were belligerent, I think we would do it the same way. We might have to call the police or something, but we would enforce it the same way we'd enforce our other park rules. So that could happen immediately. I think if the direction is to do an ordinance, we can do that too. But we'd have to come back and give you some options and things are different. So we'd have to come back. We'd also have to evaluate our workload and look at some other ordinances that we're doing this fall. But if there's some flexibility on timing, it's something we could try to work into our work plan, but we'd want to come back to you with some options in terms of what that might mean for other ordinances that we're working on. So it's really at your discretion how you want how you want to proceed.
And I would just say that the education campaign is also because maybe not everybody buys their balloons in Alameda, but we don't want them used in Alameda, I think is the idea. Vice Mayor, it looked like you were going to say something.
Oh, I was going to say I like the idea and the sentiment of this. I just would like us to, however this rolls out, to track the data, because I do think it's pretty significant, the amount of outages. And so if, let's say, this does take place and we're like, oh, it got reduced by 20% or 80%, right? That would be amazing, and I would like us just to track this.
Okay. Down the line, thoughts? Tony? Councilor Days, sorry.
Just quickly, I'm always supportive of council members when they have ideas through the referral process, and so love to have the public engage in this topic. It is a fascinating topic. I would certainly love to get input from specifically the supermarkets in store. I know both. I think probably all three Safeways sell Mylar balloons along with their flowers. But one is, so specifically them, specifically Discount City, specifically Discount City on Webster Street. I just want to understand, what do the businesses think? It's possible that it's not a big deal to them. I don't know, but let's find out. I think let's have this discussion, and if it comes down to banning them, let's consider that. Also, let's get input from East Bay League of Cities must be an obvious source of input. I mean, they must know what other cities are doing on this subject. Please bring forward the information.
So you like that before we just go forward and ban them with an ordinance?
I'll leave it up to the city manager as to how city manager wants to move forward with it. If she wants to include that as part of howsoever she frames the, that's what it's, anyway, it's fine with me.
Thanks. Any thoughts, city manager?
My one thought is if we get clearer direction, really my only concern is just finding the time with other ordinances we're working on. So it's not, we can find the time, it's just whether or not we want to shift around some of our priorities. We were working on 3 different ordinances this fall. One is the affordable housing ordinance, inclusionary ordinance, there's the short-term rental ordinance, and then the food vendor ordinance that we're working on. So would the council like us to shift those around, try to do this after that, or have that kind of in the queue after those 3, so that, or we could come back with some options without the ordinance and present, and then get direction on how you would want to do it. So that would, we're happy to do it if, and there, we did see there is, the city of Glendale has an ordinance, and so we've looked at that. So we've done very little research because we're not supposed to do a lot of work on this, but so it really depends if you're wanting to shift some priorities around or kind of put it in the queue as the one after that or not.
By the way, I'd like a little more time to speak. Could we possibly vote to add 3 minutes to everybody's time? This is one because it's a council referral. We just get 3 minutes.
So move.
Okay, we've had a motion, and a motion by Councilmember Day, seconded by Councilmember Bowler. All those in favor signify by stating aye. Aye. Let's give everybody 3 more minutes. What I'm really intrigued by what Councilmember Daysog said, and I would like to start with the outreach. Also, in light of the ordinances that the city manager just listed, I mean, we consider a lot of important items. Keeping people housed is really important, and sometimes there are other ways to accomplish your objective, and it might be an extreme win if you were, for instance, able to go to these stores, and the council member noted Safeway sells at all their stores the Mylar balloons. It's not just the part, but to actually have a meeting. We actually have, city manager, you will recall, we met with the Safeway executive representative about the Harbor Bay Safeway, different issue, but we definitely have, might be worthwhile to set up a meeting, and that is one way to do it that is more affirmative than saying because then we might expect pushback, a challenge or whatever. Just a thought, but I do I like outreach, I like education, I completely agree with the objective, but we juggle a lot of balls in the air, and I don't see any of the ordinances that the city manager just listed that I want to see bumped at this point.
I'm not, yeah, thank you.
Councilmember Jensen.
I'm not suggesting that anything be bumped, and I certainly support the ordinances that are being developed. And but I also want to be very clear that protecting the environment and reducing the interruption of power to AMP customers is a priority as well. So saying that that isn't as much of a priority as accessible housing, I'm not really prepared to make that distinction. I look at this ordinance, if I would like to, again, have a proposal come back with some information about what it would take. I have also spoken to the city manager and the city attorney about this before I put the referral on, and I've done some research, and I don't intend for it to be that burdensome, because it is pretty clear, as was some of the earlier ordinances, as I keep referring to the plastic straw ordinance, which, as I recall, there wasn't a lot of outreach, and there wasn't discussion of let's do education before having the ordinance, and it has accomplished in many ways the objectives of reducing waste and reducing plastic trash, and that's what I am intending with this one. I also, with regard to an ordinance or an outreach campaign, I agree with you, Mayor Ashcraft. An ordinance would actually, as you pointed out, Mylar balloons could be purchased anywhere. They could come in from another city, certainly. We know, and from what I understand from the AMP general manager and AMP staff, this tends to happen more around June when graduations are going on, and we did have a recent power outage in June. And so I think having an ordinance would also, if there were to be anything major, something that where the city might be liable, or where there was an injury of some kind, or someone really suffered from this, we would have an opportunity to take action against the person who violated the ordinance. And so I think it's important enough to have brought the referral. I would like to see staff come back with proposal to do an ordinance, which we can determine at that time. That's why I brought the referral tonight. We're not voting on an ordinance. We're voting on whether to ask staff to come back to bring the options for an ordinance. And that's what I'm proposing, and that's what I would like to have happen.
So, and by the way, I do believe that public outreach and education was done by groups like CASA before the plastic straw ban. And you're saying you aren't interested in pursuing that avenue with regard to Mylar balloons? Of public outreach and education about why they shouldn't be used in doing this?
Oh, that's a great idea. No, I certainly, that was part of my referral, yeah. Okay, let's hear from Councilmember Bowler. We haven't heard from him yet.
I just appreciate Councilmember Jensen for bringing this forward. It's an interesting issue from the standpoint of how to effectively get to the right outcome. I'm wondering, because it appears to me, and maybe Councilmember Jensen can speak to this, like it seems like she's looking for a simple ordinance that's really narrowly tailored. I think the focus is on the sale. I know that the referral says sale and distribution, but perhaps if it's just the sale, it doesn't have the same, I'm not sure, maybe the city manager can speak to this too, if it has the same impact in terms of staff time, but there's also Penal Code Section 653.1, which makes it an infraction for any person or group to release certain types of balloons into the air as part of a public or civic event, promotional activity, or product advertisement. And I also noticed that there's a statewide California ban that's in the works for by 2031 for Mylar balloons. So it seems like the council member's referral is pretty narrowly tailored to support these other laws, and it does include aspects in terms of education and whatnot. I'm just wondering, given that some of this conduct is already prescribed by state law under the penal code currently, if my research is correct, does that help alleviate like if this is narrowly tailored. I don't know if, I'm not expecting anyone to answer these questions. I have these questions, but if anyone wants to weigh in, yeah.
Well, so if the city manager could just weigh in. So it's an ordinance, excuse me, I looked at the city attorney and said city manager, I meant the city attorney. So there's an ordinance prohibiting the sale. Doesn't there need to be an enforcement mechanism, and what would that be?
Yes, I mean, all of the ordinances that the council adopts has some enforcement mechanism. So yes, there will have to be some enforcement to ensure that sales do not happen.
And if they do?
Presumably, there'll be consequences, right? Like plastic bags or plastic straws, there would be consequences.
So, but that would take some research time to put together what all the elements of an ordinance, even a simple ordinance, as it were, would take. Is that correct?
Sure.
Okay. But you're looking, well, so city manager, help us out. What do you think? And also, realistically speaking, when would you envision this, assuming that a majority of us don't want to bump the housing statutes you're working on, or ordinances?
I mean, the things we could do right away, immediately, if it was the council's direction, would be to the education campaign, and as part of that, the outreach, and then we could change our park rules to essentially prohibit Mylar balloons in parks, and then we would enforce it the same way we enforce other park rules. That's easy. I think the ordinance is not hard. We can look at Glendale. What they did actually, because my understanding is the balloon industry came out and they ended up changing their ordinance to say that there were no Mylar balloons or they couldn't have helium. So they didn't ban Mylar balloons outright, but they banned the use of helium. So that would be, when we were to come back with options, we could present some of those options to you. Like we could take the Glendale model, adopt that ordinance, or you could give us direction to tweak things, and those would be the things we'd come back to you with some options on, which we're happy to do. I think I don't know, because I wasn't sure the council, given these other ordinances, we could try to bring it back as quickly as possible, but we have these other ordinances. So I would just have to look a little bit, but I have no problem bringing it back. I'm not sure exactly of the timing.
Understood. Vice Mayor.
I was going to say, I think I'd be agreeable to put it in the queue, obviously, because we have other, more significant priorities. But the number of outages seems like that is seems financially responsible, I think, to really kind of rein in the Mylar balloons, to be quite frank. So, this is spending time and essentially money up front, but it might kind of pay for itself at some point. But I think regardless, having the, all the things that City Manager Jen Ott had just mentioned, I think like the education, updating the park rules, et cetera, I think would be great, because there's no reason not to start this soon. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anyone else want to weigh in? Okay.
Can I add one thing?
Of course.
Thank you. I appreciate Glendale's proposal as well, and this is about Mylar because of the actual foil balloon hitting the line and causing an outage. But the city manager actually made a point in regards to the other ordinances, and helium, which is used to fill the Mylar balloons, mainly Mylar balloons for these activities. Helium is a scarce resource, and I can appreciate, I did see that ordinance as well, and eliminating the use of helium in balloons could be another option to consider. I really feel like, from my discussions with AMP and my research, that Mylar itself is a bad thing. It's much worse than latex balloons for the environment. So I would like to keep that as well. But looking at the helium aspect is really important, I think.
But I believe the reason that Glendale compromised was that the balloon industry came out and opposed it, so we could probably expect a legal challenge to our ordinance as well, and that would then factor in some time from the city attorney's office. So I would love to see something that prioritized outreach to our stores. I think there's different ways to do that. Our stores, the school district, our schools have environmental clubs. Anyway, that's what I would consider important. So any further discussion? Somebody want to make a motion?
I will move approval of the referral.
I second.
Okay, but with nothing about where to put the priorities and doing public education outreach first?
Well, to your point, you're suggesting, Mayor, that there be a lot of public education outreach, that the Alameda Recreation Parks do a lot of work, that we go and visit every store that sells Mylar balloons. And I think that's great. I certainly agree, but that seems like a kind of burdensome. I think it'd be better if we come back, if staff comes back with some options and looks at how long it might take and how the ordinance would be enacted before there's, or unless the city manager disagrees, without doing all this work right now to change websites and visit stores and have a lot of staff time.
If this item is so important to AMP, one would expect it to be on their website. And I think, I say this all the time, you can't over-communicate. I think it's really important to communicate with the public. That's the approach I take. We don't have to agree. Okay, so the motion is simply to, you want to do read out what it is, the council referral, Madam Clerk?
Yeah, the motion itself was to move approval of the referral. I don't have it open, but I can read the language of it.
Okay.
Give me a second. Oops. No. Clicked on the wrong one. Okay. It is to direct staff to draft an ordinance to prohibit the sale and distribution of Mylar balloons in the city of Alameda. That's what the referral says.
And I should amend that, thank you, Madam Mayor, to say direct staff to return with the options for an ordinance to prohibit the sale and distribution of Mylar balloons in Alameda.
Okay, I was going to Mayor, may I just clarify?
Well, and not to prioritize it ahead of the 3 housing ordinances city manager is working on?
Well, I think having staff come back with recommendations hopefully would include that, the other things that are in the queue. I don't intend for it to be prioritized unless if there were a dramatic, all of our customers in Alameda had their power outage because of a Mylar balloon, I would expect that ordinance might be ahead in the queue. So I'll leave it to the city manager to prioritize.
Oh, we ran out of time. Okay, and you'd added the 3 minutes to her time? Okay. City manager?
Do you want us to bring back an ordinance or just the options for the ordinance? Like attach them, just options? Okay.
Anything further, city attorney?
I just want to make sure staff understands your direction. So we're not drafting an ordinance, we're just drafting options.
Options for an ordinance.
Oh,
So the options, as we've discussed, as the city manager pointed out, for whether it be more similar to Glendale, whether it be have to do with helium and Mylar, and what the types of enforcement there might be. So I don't want to, I want to give more direction if my colleagues agree that this is a good way to proceed. Then we can have it come back at your, when we return in September, October, to give more direction.
Okay, I can do that. And no changing the park rules? I just want to be clear. Okay.
It's not my motion.
Okay.
Okay, is there a second?
I think she's second.
I second, yeah.
All right. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I will vote no. All right. Thank you for that. All right. I don't have any nominations this meeting for the various boards and commissions. I will work on that when we're on break, but I do want to take a moment. Oh, sorry, you know what? We have council member communications before we go on to the adjournment. I'm going to adjourn in memory of a special Alamedan who recently passed away. Councilmember Jensen, why don't we start with you?
I have nothing.
Vice Mayor Pryor?
I went to, sorry, I had it all planned out. So I went to on the 2nd, we had a delegation, a sister city delegation from the city of Dumaguete, which is in the Philippines, come. And I got to plant a tree at Washington Park. Well, to be fair to the Parks Department, I put some dirt on top of the planted tree, but I feel like it's my tree now with the mayor of Dumaguete. And then we came back here and we had like a welcoming ceremony with them here at Chambers. On the 3rd, I went to the Hornet and attended a naturalization ceremony. It was really great to see so many people. There were like 25 different countries. It was lovely. And for 4th of July, like many of us, I was in the parade. I also got to ride with the mayor of Dumaguete, and that was really fun. They got to see the longest parade in the United States for the 4th of July celebration, and it was nice how excited they were. So that was super fun. And then on the 11th, I went on a bay tour with the Port of Oakland. So it's a free tour, 300 people get to go. And that was, I had not done that before, and it was wonderful. So you get to learn about the port, and then, Alameda's also highlighted. Yeah, it was lovely. And that's it.
Good for you. Thank you. And Councilmember Bowler.
I was happy to join the vice mayor at the event with the representatives from the Dumaguete, and also everyone on my city council, fellow council members, with the 4th of July, and to see so many Alamedans having a great time on it. It was a really gorgeous day.
Thank you. Councilmember Dayzog.
Yes, 4th of July was absolutely fun. I do want to note, I believe that was the 50th 4th of July parade.
It wasn't, because we
Was
had
it?
to subtract a couple years during COVID when
okay.
it started 50 years ago. but
started
for-
50 years
For
ago.
2 years with
Okay,
COVID.
that's right.
1 year, the now Assistant City Manager, when she was Recreation Parks Director, came up with the Porch of July, and people decorated their porch, and we had we pivoted is what we did. But yeah, no, I know.
But it's been 50 years since it began,
It
so
has.
that's worth noting.
Yeah.
And I mentioned that because, it started in 1976, which was our bicentennial year, and as a kid, I remember we were all excited about 1976. And I mentioned that because next year will be the 250th birthday of
Yes,
our
it will.
nation. So it is something for us to think about as we plan for the
Good
next
point.
4th of July.
Yeah.
And about that, it was nice to also have luncheon with the delegation from Dumaguete at Café Jolie. So I appreciated that. That was quite enjoyable. So anyways, that's about it.
Very nice, thank you. Well, I didn't make it for the tree planting because I had an agenda meeting, but I did get to Chambers when the very resilient Dumaguete delegation that had just come in from a 13-hour flight from the Philippines straight to Washington Park to plant trees, and then to city. And then I was saying to them, and now you're going to go back to your hotel and get some rest. And Cynthia Bonta said, no, we're going to go here, and then we're going to go for dinner. They looked much better by the time of the 4th of July parade. And the 4th of July parade, I agree, it was very festive. I think I was told we had the most entries we've ever had. And I would say, because this was my 3rd year riding an electric bike in the parade, you really get to see the crowd. Crowds were bigger, they were thicker, deeper, and just so joyful. Our parade Grand Marshal, Jeremy Anderson, and his family were the Grand Marshals, and Alameda Pride had a big delegation, and it was just fun. And then, and I do believe, Vice Mayor, you're going to stand in for me at the parade awards ceremony later this week because I'll be out of town. And then the next day, I went to a 100th birthday party for Ginny Krutlex, who I think a lot of you know. She actually turned 100 on the 4th of July. I told her we threw a parade for her party, for her birthday. But this 100th birthday party was being thrown by her family, but also her church, First Congregational. She was among and I read a proclamation at our last meeting, but she was among the ones who founded the Midway Shelter back in 1989, when then Mayor Chuck Carica recognized the need to address homelessness back in 1989 in our community. And what was really sweet about this birthday party, that there were over 100 people there, but Tony Carica, who is the son of former Mayor Chuck Carica, was there. And so he was able to come. I was sitting with Liz Varela from Building Futures and Smokes, and he came over to say hello. And I was able to introduce him to Liz Varela, who's the executive director of Building Futures that administers the Midway Shelter. He'd never met her before, and just nice to have his, because I read the proclamation, his dad was recognized. On last week, one day, I think it was Wednesday, so it must have been the 9th, is that right? I attended a very lovely change of command ceremony at the U.S. Coast Guard Base Alameda, and I do appreciate the city manager and the fire chief representing our city this week, later this week, this Friday, when very lovely Vice Mayor Andrew Johnson is his change of command ceremony. He's actually retiring, and I wish I could attend, but I will be out of town. And then on Saturday, July 12th, this last Saturday, Rhythmics presented the latest in their Rising Seas series, and they do such a good job of educating about climate change and sea level rise and using the arts to do it. So not only did I did welcoming remarks, but then I had a cameo appearance. I role-played Kay Kerr, and if the name's Kay Kerr, oh, there's 3 women. Do you know who they are, Councilmember Dayside? They started Save the Bay. These 3 women were faculty wives at UC Berkeley. Kay Kerr's husband, a man named Clark Kerr, went on to be the president of UC. And they talked about how they, from their living rooms, I guess in the hills, looking over the bay, they didn't like what they saw, which is to say developers filling the bay. This is when Foster City came about and Redwood Shores, and yeah, probably South Shore and Alameda. But the plan of the developers at that time was to fill 70% of the bay and just leave a channel, because a channel was all you needed. And these women started attending Berkeley City Council meetings to protest what Berkeley was doing to allow development, and they got a lot of pushback from, I think it was like the last Republican mayor that Berkeley had at the time, but they were successful, and they started this organization, Save the Bay, which led to the creation of BCDC. So it's amazing what these 3 women were able to do. Anyway, I got to say some lines for Kay Kerr. And then the next day, Sunday, July 13th, and the city manager was there as well. We had the 1-year birthday for Little Woodstock, the water shuttle, and great celebration with party hats and ice cream. You got your ice cream cone on the one side, and then you went to the Oakland side and you got your ice cream. And I think for the kids, they actually had a little ice cream they could have, because that deferred gratification is tough. But, you know, a month or 2 ago, Woodstock surpassed 100,000 riders. And this is a boat that carries 36 passengers and I think a dozen bikes. And the ride that my husband and I took coming back had, it was full, it had bikes, it had a couple strollers, it had a wheelchair. It was amazing, and everybody just having a great time. So that was lovely. And then earlier today, this afternoon, Alameda Fire Department had a badge pinning ceremony for some new promotions, and this chamber was filled with families and our firefighters looking very sharp in their uniforms. So really nice day altogether. And so with that, I'm going to adjourn our council meeting this evening in memory of a woman named Donna Vaughn. And I don't know if that name means something to anyone here. I know Donna because she was a very active member. She was one of the founders of the Friends of the Alameda Library back in when did she do it? In 1974. That was before I knew her, but when we began the campaign to build the new main library across the street, before a ballot measure goes in the ballot, you're just in the education phase, and the Friends of the Library put in the first seed money for our education campaign, because again, that public education, going door to door to talk about the state library bond, and if it passed in March, we were going to go to the voters with a bond to do a matching fund, and we did. But she was, and her husband Jack he's since passed away, but he was a tax attorney, and he did like the articles of incorporation for the Friends of the Library. Every time we needed, advice about a 501c3 issue, Jack was there. But just those people, she was friends with, Honora Murphy. They were just kind of like those three ladies in Berkeley. They just got things done. And so Donna Vaughn passed away earlier this summer, and it was sad, I think Karen Better wrote this, that when Donna started working on the first library campaign, because there was an unsuccessful one first, she hoped her new baby at the time would get to see the new library. Instead, it was Donna's granddaughter who saw the new library. So the family is requesting donations to the Friends of the Library if you're so inclined. And we are lucky to have such a wonderful library, in large part thanks to pioneers like Donna Vaughn. So with that, we will adjourn this meeting in her memory. Thank you, everyone. Have a great summer vacation. Thank you, staff, for all your hard work. Thank you, council, good work. And we'll see you in September, probably sooner, but